Hey Tony, how you doing?
Hello there, Frogman, better known as Ryan, and I'm a big fan of jokes. I've had jokes run through my entire life. One could say that my whole life is a big joke. Nobody knows jokes better than I do. Have you heard of the joke about Minnesota and the weather? Nobody ever shuts up about it. But there's one day out of the year where all jokes can come together in harmony. Jokes are not only abundant, but expected. And that day is April 1st. If you want to see the best jokes that humanity has to offer, there are worse places to find them. And what better way to celebrate April Fool's Day than to pick one random joke game out of the crowd, review it after everybody has stopped talking about it? Who's with me? I don't have a bridge to this.
Shout out to Crasher55 for suggesting this game. Crab Champions released on April 1st of 2023, made by the solo developer Noise Storm Limited, and I think you'll find that this person is very qualified to make a game about crabs. You might know Noise Storm from such hits as Crab Rave, Breakout has decent views. I guess this is the case of somebody finding their niche and sticking hard to it, which makes the whole idea of Crab Champions interesting right off the bat. Getting into the game, it feels very true to the music video it's based on, and by that, I mean it's a very amateur production. Let me be clear, I don't mean that to be as bad as it sounds. It's just very obvious that this is a one-man game serving as a quirky, one-note April Fool's game. I welcome the idea of this weird video from 2018 being brought into a game scenario, and you know, I've always had a soft spot for crustaceans with guns.
Oh, and like you don't?
Crab Champions wastes absolutely no time and drops you into the hub of the game, and it's up to you to figure things out. It's like preschool all over again. Controls are simple enough, but it would do nicely to have at least an indicator of basic movement. As of right now, the only way to learn the controls and the functions of your abilities is to go to some out-of-the-way area and read this rather easy-to-miss text. It's fine you want to not be hand-holdy in your game, but having such an indirect way of informing players about certain movement options really puts them at risk of losing the main appeal of this game. The movement and traversal of this game feels oh so nice, and it's all thanks to two moves, dash and jump. Technically double jumping too, but it sounds much more sexier when it's just two. And adding a third is just like, ugh, weird. As crabs are known to do, you can dash by hitting shift. Doing so will make the crab slide forward at some good speed, but continuously doing so will slow you down immensely. That is, unless you jump out of the dash. Not only will you keep your momentum, but you'll also be able to perform a double jump that shoots you in the direction you're holding. And once all that is done, you can dash upon landing, repeating the process all over again. It's this insane movement and focus on momentum that really sells the game for me, as without it, the experience would honestly be quite bland. The only thing we've got in this game is a series of horde battle levels with increasing difficulty and number of enemies. Passing a level grants you a chest with various different buffs and perks that can change the way you play. I really enjoy all the different perks this game has, especially the ones that drastically change the way you play the game. Granted, most of them are some variation of now you do more damage, but I'm talking about the perks that increase your grenades, dashes, greed perks, and ones that change the trajectory of grenades, because that's just funny to me. Oh, okay, those don't drop then. Whee! Oh my god, okay. It may have been a mistake to get the spiral grenades. Jeez, hello. What the heck are you? Gosh darn it! The game is a roguelike, so when you die, you are promptly escorted back into the hub world and are forced to try again from the start with no perks. It's an interesting little experience that's extremely easy to pick up and understand, and it can also get nuts to butts hard on the harder difficulties. The enemies are nice and varied with some great visual mechanical cohesion to them. What I mean is, I was usually able to understand what enemies' gimmicks were upon viewing them. and I was able to adjust myself later when seeing them. It's just something that I think was done well in choosing the design of the enemies. Getting to the end and beating the big skull rewards you with a victory, and depending on what you did, you unlock skins for your crab. It's not a deep experience by any means, there's really only one game mode, and it can get repetitive pretty quick, but as someone's debut video game and as something released on an April Fool's Day joke, it's pretty solid.
Overall, Crab Champions is a very solid game. Its movement opens it up to a very fast-paced roguelike that's very fun to toy around with. It's not gonna blow you away, it's not the Citizen Kane of video games, but it has one goal and it does that very nicely. And while the perks do offer great replayability in theory, in practice, most of them boil down to just gaining more damage along with the scaling health and enemies that you encounter. It sort of makes a detriment to the replayability and it makes everything seem a little bit more samey after a few run-throughs, but the challenge system is a very nice way to add that spice that the perks are missing. But as something that lived and died on April Fool's Day, I think it's a perfectly solid experience. I'm not really going to be thinking about this a couple weeks later, but I am going to try and do what this game was striving out for. I'm going to go to my local grocery store and give some crabs some guns. I feel like something should have happened by now. God, did I miss something? Wait, he's continuously updating the game?
For some reason, this game has a roadmap and continuous updates planned for the future, and I can't for the life of me understand why. Sure, audience retention and continuous play is nice and all, but think about what you're dedicating time to. This game is an April 1st release based off a meme video with a developer not known for producing games, and while it is solid in spite of all those factors, I don't think it has nearly the longevity the dev I presume is hoping for. Just think about all the different factors that is going in its direction. If you took away the novelty of Crab Rave and the April 1st release, I don't think this game would even be remotely worth mentioning, and the promise to continue supporting it seems rather baffling to me. In fact, I've seen this in other games released on the same day that are barely worthwhile experiences that also have a dedicated team and roadmap with plans for long updates down the line. And I have to wonder, what crowd do they think they're tapping into? It's like the person who wrote a Three Stooges sketch politely asking the test audience to contemplate the scene and consider the implications of violence in America. Like, it doesn't need to be anything more than just dumb fun. Let me be a crab. I don't want to commit to this months at a time.
I'm starting to understand why I don't have a job.